So here we are riding with just the low beams on. Let's turn the high beams on. So I mean, it lights up the road a lot more, but I kind of lose what I got right in front of me, if that makes sense. Wouldn't life be so much better if the low beams stayed on when you turn the high beams on? So that's what we're doing tonight. We're gonna make it so that the low beams stay on when the high beams are on. So let's do it. Now, I already understand that there's a really good video about doing this, and I'm totally cool with it. In fact, the only reason why I'm doing this video is because I have to do it a little bit differently. My battery terminals are already jammed up with stuff. I think I'm just gonna go and do it over there at the fuse box, just because, like I said, I don't want any more stuff coming off of here. So here's the OEM diagram. But forget that diagram. This is what's important, is what's right down here. This is what we're actually going to do. We're going to take the low beam circuit, we're going to tie it into 87 from our relay on our high beam wire, which is light green. That's going to get wired into 85. We're going to ground 86, and we're going to get battery from the fuse box to supply power to pin 30 of the relay. And that's the way it's going to work. When the high beams turn on, power is going to come through here, and it's going to trip the relay. The relay in turn is going to close, and current is going to go to the low beams. And that's pretty much how it's going to work. It's not super complicated like it is in like the Trailblazers and what it might be in the Tahoe. I haven't really looked into that yet. I'm using one of these weatherproof relays for this. I don't think it's absolutely necessary to use this, but since it's like the politically correct way to do it, that's what I'm going to use. Weatherproof because, you know, the leads are all sealed up really good. I went ahead and already noted what colors did what off of the relay harness to make things a little bit easier when I wire it up. Another thing I have here is this little crappy add-a-fuse thingy. Since I'm getting power right off of that fuse block, I kind of do want to protect that wire. Let's see what we got going on here. I see we got a couple empty studs sitting back here. So I'm gonna see if these things have power all the time. Those studs definitely have power. There's an input stud here that I guess you could use, but I think if you were gonna take that off, you'd probably wanna disconnect the battery first. So I rounded up a ring terminal with a 5/16 inch hole that we're gonna use to connect there. And in my mystery nuts and bolts bin, I just found a nut that would fit on over top of this. So we're cool there. I think right about here is gonna be a good spot for this relay. Then we'll come over about an inch or so and just put another mark there. That's where I'm going to ground 86. I'm just using the sheet metal defender right there. Just have one of these little centering punches here. And before I mount that, I guess I want to clean this up since it's going to be our ground. I got one of these fancy wire brush attachment thingies. I don't know if you saw it, but I was holding this at an angle so only the edge of the brush was hitting it, so I could keep a pretty small footprint. I only really want it to be big enough for a little star washer. So going by the schematic there, the gray wire off of this harness is going to be our ground. So since I already know that the relay is going to be here and the ground is here, we only need like 6 inches of wire or so I'm just going to clean him up. My connections for the high beam and low beam circuits are going to be somewhere in this harness, not exactly sure where yet. So I know I can trim maybe a foot, maybe 8 inches off of our 87 and 85, which in this case would be orange and yellow. So I'm going to go ahead, trim those guys down. See, we're getting a little bit more manageable already. Hey, fuck you. And our last connection is going to be from pin 30, which is going to go over to this stud right here. We've also got that little inline fuse thingy, so really, I mean, we can just go with what we've already got here. Now she's a lot more manageable. Just going to go ahead and get the relay mounted. A little bit of white lithium on this bare metal. So now I got a self tapper. It's going to go through the eyelet. And in between, little star washer. This is going to help give us a good ground. Well, I don't know about us. It's going to give me a good ground. Well, I don't know about me. It's going to give the relay a good ground. Now, in case I forget to show this, when this is done, I'm going to come back and I'm going to spray this with some white lithium too. So I think what I guess I'm going to have these things do is to go up into this loom. This is probably hard to see, and I'm sorry. I don't think there's any way I can get an angle of me putting a pocket screwdriver in there and popping that sucker apart. Actually, I better not put him there. Never see him again. This harness right here has the stuff for the front clip and the horns. We're going to have a tan wire as well as a light green wire. Those are the two that we're going to be tapping into. That should work out perfectly. I don't want to cut these wires. I just want to get to the copper. So I'm just taking a razor blade and just scoring it, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch apart. And then I very precisely and carefully do one slit down the length of it. So if we wanted to verify that this light green wire is in fact the high beam wire, well, we can clip one lead of our meter to that. We can go, we might be able to get a good ground off of this tab right here on the relay. We'll give it a try. I don't know if it'll work. Headlights on. High beams. It might not be the optimum ground there. This reading is kind of weird. It's kind of low. It should be closer to 12 volts. There may be a underlying problem with the truck. Even our fuse box, we're at 11.8. I'm not really sure what's going on there. So we might have some voltage drop, you know, through the headlight switch or even the multi-function switch. Strip a little bit off of this guy. I never solder my connections. Soldering is not necessary. Blah, blah, blah. If you just wanted to use crappy taps on this, be my guest. I try not to touch the tape so it doesn't lose any of its stickiness. But sometimes it's inevitable. So since I cut this asshole like right here, for the next one I might go down, you know, a ½ inch or so. It's just me being particular, I guess. Make sure this is plenty long, which looks like it is. I guess if we want to just double check to make sure that this is in fact the low beam wire, we can hook the red lead of the meter up to there, and we'll just use this as our ground again, and we'll turn the headlights on. And we've got, and again, that kind of matches what we have with the high beams. We got some kind of voltage drop. Don't give me shit, truck. I never solder. solder joints can become loose over time. The wire can break after the solder joint. Good. Good. Oh, I touched the tape. Fuck. And then I'm just going to tape this bundle up. Just another layer of protection. Like wearing 2 condoms, I guess. See, we can actually move these 2 down through the harness, kind of help get them out of sight a little bit. Not that I'm doing this for any kind of, looks. That little piece of heat shrink, I'm just going to slide up here. See, I kind of goofed because I should have slid this down before I stripped the big wire. So I'm just getting the heat shrink down far enough out of the way that it won't shrink up on us while we're soldering the wire. For anyone doing this at home, you should probably cover up that fuse block, put a rag or something over it, or put the cover back on instead of being an idiot and soldering right over it. Because if solder was to fall down there, you might have a bad time. Throw a little heat on them. Again, I still don't have a fuse in there. The question is what size fuse do we put in here? How many amps is this going to draw? That's, I guess, something we should probably... Will you shut up? I'm just going to snug him up. Is it going to fit? 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 Cool, it fits. So we're drawing 8 amps at, I think we're only at what, 10.2 volts or something? Let's just start it up and see what our draw is going to be with a charging system that's charging. Charging system's at 14 volts. We've got a 9.2 amp load on this thing. So our circuit drew, what, 9.2 amps? I think a 10 amp fuse is a little too close for comfort. I think I'm going to go ahead and do a 15. The worst thing that happens if that 15 amp blows is that I don't have quads anymore, but the original circuits for the low beams and high beams will work, as intended. So I'm going to pop a 15 in here. Okay, anyone want to guess what happened when I tried to close the hood? Yup, the edge of this freaking thing right here was touching the relay. So I had to go back and move him down about 3 inches out of the way. That is a good reason right there why you should leave a little bit extra slack in your leads. So just by leaving a couple extra inches in there, it really paid off because, hey, I didn't know. It looked like it would clear, you know what I'm saying? A little bit extra work, not really a big deal. I just have an extra free hole. So consider it weight reduction. Cool, let's go for a ride. Oh yeah, it's just low, now high, everything working like it should. Boss. So there we have it, not too bad of a job. I've been at it here for a little bit over an hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes, and that including setting up and filming everything and my obvious mistake with mounting the relay, and it wasn't too bad of a job. I don't know what's going next, but if you want to see it, subscribe to my shit. Also, thanks for watching. Also, cake.